What if I told you that one of Rugby League's biggest names, an NRL superstar known as the Cheese, is suddenly being linked to a police investigation? That's right. Brandon Smith's name has been dragged into a scandal that has rocked the game to its very core, and tonight, we're diving deep into every twist and turn of this explosive story. Welcome back to Aussie NRL Updates, your home for the breaking stories, the scandals, and the headlines that shake the rugby league world. And this one? It's massive. Brandon Smith, Premiership winner, fan favourite, and one of the NRL's most colourful characters, is now facing serious questions after reports emerged of his alleged involvement in dealings that have caught the attention of police. It's a story that has left fans shocked, clubs scrambling, and the rugby league community buzzing with one burning question: how deep does this go? The news didn't creep out slowly, it exploded like a bombshell. Reports surfaced that police were investigating certain dealings, and in the process, one of the names being whispered was none other than Brandon Smith. Almost instantly, social media erupted. Some fans refused to believe it. Others said they weren't surprised. And many sat in stunned silence, wondering how one of the NRL's most recognizable personalities had found himself at the center of such a storm. For years, Brandon Smith has been celebrated for his larrikin nature. But now, the spotlight is glaring, and for all the wrong reasons. It's worth remembering who we're talking about here. Brandon Smith isn't just another NRL player, he's a brand. Known as the Cheese, he built a reputation as one of the funniest, most relatable, most down-to-earth figures in the game. Fans loved him. Clubs craved him. Sponsors backed him. But here's the cruel twist: the bigger the star, the harder the fall. When players like Smith get caught up in scandals, it's not just about footy. It's about reputations, trust, and the very image of the game itself. So what's actually happening? Here's what we know. Police have reportedly launched an investigation into certain dealings linked to a wider operation. And within that web of names, Brandon Smith's has been mentioned. Now, it's important to stress, Smith has not been charged with any crime at this point. But being connected, even loosely, to an ongoing investigation is enough to set alarm bells ringing. The NRL Integrity Unit has already been notified, and that in itself shows how seriously this is being taken. When the Integrity Unit steps in, it's no longer just rumours, it's real. Imagine being in the Sydney Roosters boardroom when the news broke. Brandon Smith is one of their key signings, one of the players they've backed heavily as part of their push for Premiership glory. And suddenly, they're being dragged into headlines that have nothing to do with rugby league and everything to do with scandal. How will the Roosters react? Do they stand by him? Do they distance themselves? Fans are already debating it online. Some say loyalty is key. Others argue the club must protect its reputation at all costs. And speaking of fans, the reaction has been fierce. One camp says, innocent until proven guilty. Don't judge the Cheese yet. They argue that Smith has always been larger than life, always been misunderstood, and that dragging his name into this could simply be guilt by association. But the other camp? They're less forgiving. Where there's smoke, there's fire, one comment read. The NRL can't afford to keep sweeping these scandals under the rug. The division among fans is palpable, and it shows just how polarizing Brandon Smith has become in the space of a few short days. Here's the real kicker: this scandal is only just beginning. Police investigations don't resolve overnight. The NRL Integrity Unit doesn't act lightly. The media circus is only going to get louder. So the question now is simple: what's next? Will this blow over as nothing more than rumor and whispers? Or will it snowball into one of the biggest scandals rugby league has ever seen? Stick around, because in part 2, we're going to unpack exactly how this scandal could reshape Brandon Smith's career, what it means for the Roosters, and whether this could be the scandal that rocks the very foundations of the NRL. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe right here to Aussie NRL Updates, because when stories like this explode, you don't want to miss a single detail. So Brandon Smith's name has been dragged into a police investigation. The NRL Integrity Unit is circling. The Roosters are under pressure. But what does this all actually mean for the future of the Cheese and for rugby league itself? Let's not sugarcoat it. If this scandal escalates, Brandon Smith's career could hang in the balance. The NRL has made it clear in the past, off-field behavior matters. Just look at previous cases. Careers have been derailed. Reputations destroyed. Sponsorships lost overnight. For a player of Smith's profile, the stakes couldn't be higher. If cleared, he'll bounce back, as the Larrikin fans know and love. But if not, this could be the moment his career trajectory changes forever. The NRL Integrity Unit doesn't play games. Once they're involved, they investigate everything: phone records, financial transactions, even who players are associating with. They leave no stone unturned. And while fans often complain that the process drags on, the reality is, it has to. Because once a verdict is reached, the consequences are enormous. Fines, suspensions, deregistrations, nothing is off the table. For Brandon Smith, the Integrity Unit's involvement is a sign that this isn't going away quietly. Now let's talk about the Roosters. They pride themselves on being one of the NRL's most professional organizations. Discipline. Standards. Winning culture. Having one of their stars splashed across headlines like this is the last thing they wanted. Behind closed doors, you can bet the conversations are heated. Do they back their player? Do they demand answers? Do they quietly prepare for the worst-case scenario? Every decision they make will be under the microscope. And for a club already fighting to stay in the finals race, this distraction could not come at a worse time. If there's one thing rugby league loves, it's a scandal. The headlines, the talk shows, the panel debates, this story is dominating them all. And here's the kicker: every time new information drops, the frenzy grows. Every detail is analyzed. Every rumor becomes a headline. And through it all, Brandon Smith's name is front and center. For a player once celebrated for his humor and personality, this is a brutal new reality. But let's pause and remember, behind all the headlines, Brandon Smith is a human being. Imagine waking up and seeing your name splashed across every news outlet, every social feed, every TV panel. Imagine knowing that every word you say, every move you make, is being dissected. That mental strain can break players. Some crumble. Others come back stronger. Which one will Brandon be? Here's where this gets even bigger. The NRL has a long history of scandals. From off-field fights to financial dealings, from substance issues to contract drama, it's almost become part of the game's DNA. But fans are starting to ask, when does it stop? When does the code draw a line in the sand? When do players finally take responsibility for how their actions off the field affect the entire game? This scandal with Brandon Smith could be the tipping point. So where does this leave us? Brandon Smith, one of rugby league's biggest names, is caught in a scandal that could either fade into nothing or explode into something that reshapes his career forever. The Roosters are under pressure. The NRL Integrity Unit is circling. And the fans are divided. The only certainty? This story is far from over. This has been Aussie NRL Updates, where we bring you the biggest stories, the biggest shocks, and the biggest debates in rugby league. Make sure you subscribe right now, because the Brandon Smith scandal is only just beginning, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Because in the NRL, the game off the field can be just as dramatic as the game on it.